In the book of Genesis, 1900 years before Christ, Jacob, a man with his life full of sin, came face to face with Jesus. Many people are not aware that Jesus was in the Old Testament. This is the story of Jacob's divine encounter. He was born in the ancient land of Canaan, an area rich in history and significance, often considered the promised land in the biblical narrative. During his birth, Jacob was the second of twin boys born to Isaac and Rebekah after his brother Esau. The circumstances of their birth were unusual and symbolic. Jacob emerged holding onto Esau's heel, signifying the start of a rivalry between the two. In his early years, Jacob grew up in the shadow of his older twin, Esau, in the tents of their father Isaac in Canaan. Unlike Esau, who was a skilled hunter and his father's favorite, Jacob was quiet and contemplative, preferring the peaceful confines of their home. This preference earned him the affection of his mother, Rebekah. Even as a child, Jacob showed signs of being astute and thoughtful, qualities that would later define his life. His childhood was marked by the observance of family dynamics and the understanding of his place within them. While Esau roamed the open fields, Jacob learned the intricacies of managing a household and the subtleties of negotiation and strategy. As Jacob matured, his desire for his brother's birthright would grow. The birthright was more than just money or power. It was about keeping a special promise from God. This promise was to create a powerful nation, to reward those who support them, and to deal with their enemies, bringing blessings to all families on earth. Jacob understood this well and believed that getting the birthright was the way to make sure this special promise came true. He did not believe Esau truly understand the meaning of his birthright, criticizing his brother for having selfish concerns. His motivation was fueled further by a prophecy from God given to Rebekah before the twins' birth, stating that the older would serve the younger. One day, Jacob saw his opportunity. His brother had just returned from the fields with a desire for food Jacob had seen before. "Quick, let me have some of that red stew. I am famished," Esau implored, his voice thick with desperation. Jacob, ever the opportunist and strategist, saw more than hunger in Esau's eyes. He saw a chance to claim a future that the birthright represented. This was not merely a bowl of stew in exchange for satisfying hunger. It was a bargain for a birthright that held the keys to a divine promise and legacy. "First, sell me your birthright," Jacob proposed, his words hanging between them, laden with future consequence. Esau, in his exhaustion and immediate physical need, underestimated the gravity of the trade. "I'm about to die. What good is the birthright to me?" he retorted, his words sealing a covenant that would strip him of his ancestral legacy. Thus, with a bowl of stew and some bread, Jacob bought the birthright from Esau. The brothers ate and drank, and with each swallow, Esau's birthright slipped further away, passing into the hands of Jacob, who valued the unseen promise over the seen, immediate gratification. Before Jesus' intervention in Jacob's life, he would continue on his deceitful path by stealing Esau's blessing. Similar to the birthright, the blessing of Isaac to his firstborn son, Esau was a formal declaration of rights, privileges, and responsibilities of the primary heir. As Isaac was close to death, he planned to give Esau the blessing. Little did he know that Jacob's mother had a plan to steal this from Esau. Isaac, aged and with eyes dimmed by time, felt the stirrings of legacy upon his heart. He called for Esau, his firstborn, a man as rugged as the wilderness he loved, with a simple request that carried the weight of ages. "Bring me your game, my son, so I may taste the wild once more and bless you, as is your due." But the winds of fate blew with a different tune that day, for Rebekah overheard this exchange. With the echoes of divine prophecy whispering in her ear, she saw a different path for the birthright and blessing. Her favored son, Jacob, must rise to the occasion. Crafting a plan, Rebekah set her scheme into motion. She called Jacob and set him a task. "Your brother's blessing must become yours," she said, her words heavy with unseen futures. "For you are the one through whom the promise must flow." With the reluctant heart of a son who revered his mother's wisdom, Jacob donned the guise of Esau. Cloaked in his brother's garments and his arms roughened by goatskin to mimic Esau's hairy touch, Jacob approached his father with a meal not of wild game, but of deceit. Isaac, his senses dulled by age but not by spirit, questioned the voice he heard. "The voice is Jacob's, yet the hands are Esau's," he mused, teetering on the edge of realization. But the savory meal, the scent of Esau's clothes, and the tactile deception of hairy hands swayed his judgment. With a heart full of paternal love, Isaac bestowed upon Jacob the blessing of abundance and dominion, a blessing meant for the firstborn. No sooner had the words left Isaac's lips than Esau arrived, his game in hand, only to find the blessing gone, stolen like a jewel in the night. The air turned thick with despair and anger as Esau's howl of betrayal pierced the heavens. Although God clearly had divine plans for Jacob due to the prophecy, his life after these events would be marked with struggle. The immediate aftermath of his deceit was fraught with tension. Esau, upon realizing the loss of his birthright and blessing, was consumed with a bitter rage, vowing to kill Jacob. The threat to Jacob's life was palpable, and it prompted Rebekah, the matriarch who had masterminded the plan to secure her favored son's future, to act swiftly. She urged Jacob to flee to Haran, to the safety of her brother Laban's house, ostensibly to find a wife, but primarily to escape Esau's wrath. Jacob's departure from Beersheba marked the beginning of an exile that would last for 2 decades. His journey to Haran was not just a flight from mortal danger, but a pilgrimage into maturity and faith. Along this journey, at a place he would name Bethel, Jacob experienced a vivid dream of a ladder reaching to heaven, with angels ascending and descending. Here, God appeared to Jacob, reaffirming the covenant made with Abraham and Isaac, promising land, offspring as numerous as the dust of the earth, and blessings for all the families of the world through his lineage. Arriving in Haran, Jacob encountered Rachel at a well, and his immediate love for her set the stage for the next chapter of his life. Jacob agreed to work for Laban for 7 years to marry Rachel, but in a twist of irony, he was deceived by Laban into marrying Leah, Rachel's older sister. Thus, the deceiver became the deceived, and Jacob worked another 7 years for Rachel, the woman he truly loved. During his time in Haran, Jacob's family and wealth grew abundantly. He fathered many children, including the 12 sons who would become the founders of the Israelite tribes. However, his relationship with Laban deteriorated due to Laban's envy and deceit. Eventually, God instructed Jacob to return to his homeland, promising his presence and protection. It was on this journey back home where Jacob would meet Jesus. As Jacob stood alone, having sent ahead his family and possessions in preparation to meet Esau, his solitude was shattered by the approach of a mysterious figure. The night air, heavy with anticipation and the weight of impending reunion, became the arena for a confrontation. Jacob and this divine being engaged in a wrestling match that was as much a clash of wills and spirits as it was of physical strength. Throughout the night, under the canopy of stars, the struggle raged on, with neither party yielding. Jacob, who had spent his life grappling with people and manipulating circumstances, now found himself locked in a struggle that defied human understanding. The divine opponent, recognizing Jacob's tenacity and desperation for a blessing, did not overpower him easily. Instead, the match continued until the first hints of dawn began to pierce the night. As the struggle intensified, the divine being touched Jacob's hip, dislocating it with a mere brush, a stark reminder of the immense power at play and the fragility of human strength. Yet, even in the face of agonizing pain, Jacob's resolve did not waver. He clung to his opponent, his demand for a blessing resonating with the depths of his soul's yearning for affirmation and transformation. Impressed by Jacob's unwavering determination and acknowledging his struggle, the divine being bestowed upon him not just a physical blessing, but a new identity. "Your name will no longer be Jacob," he declared, "but Israel, for you have struggled with God and with humans and have overcome." This new name, Israel, meaning he who struggles with God, encapsulated the essence of the encounter and the profound transformation it wrought in Jacob. No longer was he the supplanter who relied on his cunning and strength. He had become a figure who contended with the divine and acknowledged his dependence on God's grace. As the divine being departed and Jacob, now Israel, limped away from Peniel, the breaking down was not just a new day, but a new era for him. He had seen God face to face and lived to tell the tale, his life irrevocably altered. This encounter, marked by struggle, persistence, and divine revelation, became a cornerstone of Israelite identity, symbolizing the enduring and often tumultuous relationship between God and his chosen people. So was this divine being Jesus? Many say that it was an angel. However, despite it being almost 2,000 years before the birth of Christ, there are several arguments for it being Jesus. Firstly, the nature of the struggle between Jacob and the divine being at Peniel hints at an interaction that goes beyond mere angelic intervention. The figure engages with Jacob not just in physical combat, but also in a spiritual and transformative manner, a characteristic aligning with the redemptive work of Christ, who engages with humanity in profound and life-changing ways. Moreover, the outcome of this encounter, a blessing and a change of name, mirrors the transformative power of Christ's ministry. Just as Jesus called Simon to become Peter, the rock upon which the church would be built, the figure at Peniel grants Jacob a new identity, Israel, signifying his struggle with God and humans and his prevailing faith. This act of renaming and blessing aligns with Christ's role as the one who redefines and establishes new covenants with his people. Additionally, the very act of wrestling throughout the night until the breaking of dawn can be seen as symbolic of Christ's struggle against sin and darkness, culminating in the victory of light and the new day of resurrection. The fact that Jacob sees God face to face in this figure and lives speaks to the incarnational aspect of Christ, God made flesh, whom people can encounter directly and still live. The character of the encounter at Peniel also reflects Christ's willingness to limit himself within human constraints to achieve a greater purpose, much like the incarnation. The divine being's decision to wrestle with Jacob, allowing the struggle to continue until daybreak, and then simply touching Jacob's hip to end the contest, suggests a controlled display of power that serves a higher purpose of transformation, akin to Christ's ministry of teaching, healing, and ultimately sacrificing himself for humanity's salvation. Finally, the setting of this event at the ford of Jabbok, a place of crossing and transition, resonates with the role of Christ as the bridge between God and humanity, the mediator who crosses the divide caused by sin and facilitates a new relationship with the divine. So what can we today learn from Jacob's story? At the heart of Jacob's story is the lesson of persistence in the face of adversity. Jacob's life was marked by continual struggles, from the womb where he grappled with his brother Esau, to his encounters with Laban's deceit and culminating in the divine wrestling match at Peniel. Each of these episodes teaches that perseverance, even when the odds seem insurmountable, is crucial. The divine wrestling match, in particular, underscores the importance of tenacity in one's spiritual journey, illustrating that blessings and transformative encounters with the divine often come through endurance and steadfastness in faith. Jacob's experiences also illuminate the consequences of deceit and manipulation. His early life was characterized by acts of cunning, from usurping Esau's birthright to stealing his father's blessing. These actions, while initially seeming to advance his cause, led to years of hardship and flight. From this, one can glean that short-term gains achieved through dubious means often result in long-term challenges and strife, highlighting the importance of integrity and honesty in one's dealings. However, the narrative of Jacob also profoundly illustrates the theme of transformation and redemption. Despite his flaws and misdeeds, Jacob was not abandoned by God. Instead, he encountered God's grace and mercy, which gradually transformed him. His change of name from Jacob to Israel after wrestling with the divine being symbolizes this transformation, a shift from a self-reliant schemer to someone who has striven with God and men and has overcome. This aspect of his story offers hope and encouragement, showing that personal transformation is possible and that one's past does not have to define the future. Moreover, Jacob's life story teaches about the nature of God's covenantal faithfulness. Despite Jacob's imperfections, God remained faithful to his promises, guiding and blessing Jacob throughout his life. This unmerited favor underscores the concept of grace in the biblical narrative, that God's love and promises are steadfast, even when human actions falter. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, please like, subscribe, and click the video in front of you to watch more. Thanks for watching, and may the Lord bless and guide your day.